Welcome to Go Rangers Radio, where the New York Rangers are always the talk of the town. If you bleed red, white, and Rangers blue, hail the King, follow the bread man, and know how to spell Capo Caco, then you've tuned to the right place. And now, here are your handsome hosts, Kevin DeLury and Paul Cuthbert. They're not always going to get it right, but you can be damn sure they'll pretend they are. Now, let's go Rangers Radio.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Go Rangers Radio, right here on the Go Hockey Media Radio Network. Broadcasting live from Windham Mountain, New York, on location. And also, yours truly here, Mr. Paul Cuthbert, bringing you live, and our good friend, Mr. Kevin DeLury, KD. Say hi to the folks, everybody.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Paulie, what is up? You have got to be excited. You have been, for the last couple of weeks, month or whatever, been saying, can't we just get to the trade deadline? Sick of talking about what's going to happen to Kreider. What are we going to do? Goalie situation, blah, blah, blah. Well, here we are, my friend. The last show that we talk about, what are the Rangers going to do?
Yes, what are they going to do? As we inch a little bit closer and we get to watch NBC NHL presentation tonight and all the different hearsays and what says of where Mr. Kreider's going. The New York Islanders, buddy? Is that possible?
Oh, please, God, no. I would rather the Rangers give Kreider like a 10-year, $100 million deal than see him skate around in an Islander jersey. I just don't want to see it at all. Although, Paulie, somebody brought up to me, because I did tweet that out the other day. Somebody did bring up to me, like, how great would it be if the Rangers, and the package that, is going out there that, these guys are now saying, that Kreider could eventually get. Bob McKenzie was on NBC tonight discussing what Kreider can bring back, and basically saying a first-round pick, a top prospect, a maybe lower-level prospect, and a conditional pick. Could you imagine if the Rangers get from the Islanders first-round pick, say Wahlstrom, a lower-level prospect, and then a conditional pick? Kreider goes to them, they lose in the first round, and then Kreider re-signs with the Rangers. How amazing would that be? I'd almost rather see him in an Islander uniform just for that, so we can get like the Islanders' top prospect, a first-round pick from them, and then them have absolutely nothing to show for it. It'd almost be like the Tavares situation all over again. That would be amazing.
Well, there you go, folks. There's no doubt that Kevin DeLury is a diehard Ranger fan, as he is wishing nothing but ill will and representation to the New York Islanders. That would be a twisted kind of world that you're talking about there, buddy. And yeah, most Rangers fans wouldn't probably mind that, but I think it's going to be a little crazy. One thing that they were saying, though, I like is the Rangers and Gorton are probably going to hang into the last minute there and get the most for Kreider as they possibly can, which obviously for the franchise and for the team is going to be the ultimate best result for us. And the way Kreider's been playing the last couple of weeks, for a month I should say, it'll be tough to say goodbye to old Chris Kreider. But if we get the goods in return, I guess we will have to say adieu. But this is the crazy NHL with the fact that he might be able to be re-signed, and wouldn't that be a crazy world?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still, again, I go back and forth every 5 minutes on this. I mean, if the Rangers can get this deal done where it's a shorter term deal, which everybody would love, I think it'd be the best thing for the team in this rebuild. It'd be the best thing for Kreider to bring him back on like a 5-year deal. I think it would be perfect for where they are in the rebuild. I think he'd be a huge part of it. That veteran presence. He's obviously still has a lot of hockey left in him, and I think that would be the way both sides and the fans included would like to see it go. Having said that, to be able to get that kind of package for Kreider, who is essentially a rental, and still potentially have the possibility of re-signing him in the offseason, that may just be too much for the Rangers to pass on. and to bring in that big of a package. I mean, you're seeing what a great job Gordon has been doing, stockpiling picks and then turning those picks into players who are making a difference this year. Hedl, and even the trades that they're making, Fox and Lindgren and all these young guys that they're bringing in, and they just made the trade for Gauthier. And so Gordon has been able to do a great job with either picks he's getting or the prospects that he's picking up from other teams in all these trades that they've been making the last 2 years while they were sort of cleaning house. So, if they decide to go the way of trading Kreider for another big package of picks and prospects, I'm still excited for what that could mean for the Rangers going forward. I do think it puts the rebuild back another year or so because, look, you got to now replace a Kreider, and you're having more young guys come in. And you're waiting for them to develop. So, there's pluses and minuses to it, but if you could stockpile some more with a huge package, man, goodness, that's tough to say no to.
Absolutely, man. It's a power of strength that the Rangers are dealing from, which is a pretty cool thing, and that alludes to what you were saying before about mentioning the Gauthier trade. Gauthier, another guy with a crazy name. I got to remember. How do you say his name, KD?
I think it's Gauthier.
Gauthier. All right, yeah, that sounds about right. That's good hockey language there. So what do you think about them getting Gauthier in here for a guy like Keane, who you were pretty looking forward to seeing?
Yeah, I mean, you hate to see a guy like Keane go because I thought he did have a bright future here. I think he was going to be a good player. He's lighting it up in the AHL as a defenseman. So, you got to give to get. The Rangers, as we discuss here all the time, have sort of an embarrassment of riches on defense in their pipeline. They are weak up front at forward on the wings. So, they were able to trade from a strength to address a weakness. So, on paper, I think it's a great trade. This guy is a natural goal scorer, big kid who also has speed. A lot of Ranger fans have been saying this could potentially be, the Kreider replacement, young, 22 years old. So if they do decide to move Kreider, this could potentially be the guy who comes and fills in. And if you're only giving up a defensive prospect to potentially replace Kreider, I mean, that's a hell of a trade. Just seeing the response from a lot of the Carolina fans, they didn't seem very happy with the trade. Apparently, Gauthier, the issue that he was having, cracking Carolina's lineup is that they have a lot of forwards. So they, it ran into a little bit of a logjam there. They needed the defensive help. So it seemed that it was like one of those hockey trades that sort of helped both teams. But I'm looking forward to this kid. He had the fourth most goals, I think, in the AHL this year, one of the top goal scorers last year. So the kid can score. It's just a matter of whether that his AHL game can translate into the NHL game, which isn't always easy. But again, big body, he's got speed. Seems like he's got good hands. I haven't seen much other than a couple of clips, the last couple of days. So, I like that the Rangers stuck him right into the lineup tonight against the Blackhawks. Let's get him going. And, another guy, young guy you're bringing in, and which means you're getting a fringe guy like McKegg. He's a guy I love. I love McKegg. But, he is a fringe guy, and that's another guy out of the lineup. Again, you're seeing all these guys who were in the lineup at the beginning of the year that everybody's concerned about. Why is Quinn putting these guys in? And now they're all getting out, like Haley and Mike Smith and now McKegg. So as Quinn is feeling, more and more comfortable with the young guys, and they're showing some development in their game, they're getting more ice time, and the lineup is looking better, which has led to improved play overall by the team.
Absolutely, and we are doing this podcast during the Rangers game against the Blackhawks here tonight, and Buchnevich just popped one in there, and maybe a guy like Gauthier is going to make some of the other guys play a little better. Nice to see Buki get on the board there, Snoochie Boochies, and Rangers are up 2-1 now with about 17 left in the third.
I still can't believe that Buchnevich is someone that is out there as the Rangers potentially trading, and we discussed this last week. How counterproductive is that to a rebuild? A 24-year-old winger who could potentially put up 50 points this year, you want to trade? It seems like that's the type of guy you want to trade for in a rebuild. I just don't understand how his name is sort of popping up there, and especially now after there's always been some trepidation from Ranger fans, sort of the old school Ranger fans who like more of a physical player have been down on Buchnevich as sort of maybe a lazy player, shies away from the physical play. But how about that cross check on Marchand the other day after he cross-checked Lindgren?
I saw it live.
That's right. You were at the game. I think he turned anyone who was a Buchnevich hater before that game is now completely in love with the guy. So now he has the entire fan base behind him. So I'd be shocked and disappointed if he's a guy who ends up going, by the trade deadline. I think that would be a terrible mistake.
Well, KD, what do you think is the overall stigma against Buchnevich? I mean, 35, now 36 points on the season with the goal tonight. I mean, what's the story? Do you think it's just a matter of not scoring more goals or not putting up more points? What do you think the stigma is outside of, like I said, you preach it, with the rebuild is as far as patience with, Capo Caco, and is Buchnevich deserving of that as well?
Yeah, I think there's been questions over the years about his commitment level off the ice. Then you saw early on in his career where AV, was putting him on the fourth line a lot with, Tanner Glass and some of the other sort of fourth line, enforcers. As he never really did well with his sort of defensive responsibilities and, was never in the right place and that kind of stuff. And then look, he was still young, sort of learning the league and was given some tough love along the way. And he's prone to take some shifts off from time to time, but it seems as though over the last couple of months, he's been one of the Rangers' best players by far. He wasn't scoring, and now, he is starting to find the back of the net. So, I think he still has a little bit of that, like you said, sort of stigma, maybe that he's a lazy player and, takes plays off and didn't work hard, outside the rink to prepare himself for the game. So, whether that's the case now or not, or those were just rumors and they sort of spread a little bit or whatever it is, he's turning into, and again, he's only 24 years old. Whatever it is, he's really turned it around this year. He's a guy you want to have on the team in a rebuild, a 24-year-old who's on his way up, in my opinion, and I think is only going to get better. So I'm excited for him. I think any concerns that Ranger fans may have about him have been wiped away, in my opinion, and is someone that should be a huge part of this rebuild going forward.
Hey, buddy, we should probably stay on air until this game is over. Strome just scored. We're up 3-1 now. Kreider got the assist on Bucci's goal. And Tony D and Mika assisted on Strome. So they're up 3-1 now with less than 14 minutes. All good stuff.
With a good luck charm, I think, there, Paulie.
Yeah, and I'm not allowed to go to the Garden anymore after Sundays.
That's right. That's right.
Man, but, go ahead, bud.
Go ahead. No, I was going to say, I mean, just looking at, how this team and they're scoring these two third-period goals here, and they really have a panache for the sort of late-game heroics lately. They had that huge comeback in Minnesota. They had the late tie-breaking goal. Kreider had the tie-breaking goal in Columbus. They almost came back in the Boston game where they pretty much played awful the first 50 minutes of the game. Got it to within one and almost tied it up at the end. And now today you see the two third-period goals. I mean, we don't know how the game's going to end up. So, this team under Quinn always plays hard. I mean, that's one thing you can't question. I know a lot of people went after Quinn earlier in the year in the lineups. I've always defended him and saw his reasoning behind that, that the veterans that he was putting in were more placeholders than guys that he was putting in there because he thinks the team would be better, with him in the lineup. But always playing hard for Quinn. Always playing to the final whistle, and it's definitely showing in the last couple of weeks here where they're coming through late in games, crunch time, and that just shows a growth and development of this team. And another great thing